Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Like plain as day?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just check something really quick here as far as level goes. You may want to close your ears for a couple of seconds or pull your cans off or something, because I'm going to pretend like we're doing our thing and make sure we're not going to clip. Ha 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 ha! Bobby, you're so funny. Ha 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 ha! You're cracking me up once again. Ha 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 ha! Yeah, I think that level's going to be fine.
Okay, Kevin.
Are you rolling?
I'm rolling. Okay, that's a good level.
I'm going to take that and I'm going to loop that. I'm rolling and I'm going to put some trance music in the background. Ooh, Bobby's at a rave once again.
I'm rolling.
All right, so you're rolling. I need to kind of do a clapboard sound so we can sync our time.
Okay.
Caw-caw!
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.
Wow, we are superstars.
Not quite. So here we are, Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell, and this is the Middle Class VO Podcast. And I don't know, Bobby, you and I were talking one day, and we were like, we need to do a podcast, and not just because we want to do a podcast. It's just we feel like we have something to offer, and we think we have something to offer in a specific area of the voiceover realm. Would you agree?
Because we're just average. Is that what you're trying to say?
It kind of sounds that way, but certainly don't mean it, because, Bobby, you, for one, are magnificent, and everybody knows it.
Aw, thanks, Kev.
And I mean that. And it's just, Bobby and I get along. We've got, like, this connection ever since we met, basically. And it could go back to radio. I don't know what it goes back to, but we've always had this great rapport. And speaking of radio, that's where we both come from. Bobby, why don't you tell us about your background in radio?
Well, way back a long time ago. No, I'm older than Kevin. I'm just going to get that out there right now. So if I
Not
talk
by
about
much.
if I talk about records, you'll know what I'm talking about. Did I just say that? Oh my gosh.
But you come from Cincinnati. We're both from the heartland of America. From the heartland of America, Bobby Maxwell in Cincinnati, and I'm in the Nashville area. But your radio background, it's quite impressive with, your era in Cincinnati. You're a Cincinnati icon, are you not?
Oh, I wouldn't say an icon, but, I was on the air here a long, long time. And I didn't actually get my start here. I got my start in Las Vegas, of all places. This was back when there were very few women on the air, Kevin. And
You're a maverick.
I couldn't get a job in Cincinnati. So I had some family friends that lived in Vegas and went out to visit one summer with my air check tapes. I used air quotes there. and actually got a job on an AM that had a sister FM station, was on the FM on the weekends, and then did a full-time gig on the AM. Stayed out there for 2 years, came back to Cincinnati, and wow. I mean, I just left radio full-time 3 years ago.
So you made the transition 3 years ago from Cincinnati legendary, iconic female radio personality, humanitarian. What made you do it? What made you pull the trigger on that?
I had been doing freelance here and there while still full-time in radio, and really loved it. I loved the creativity of it and getting different types of auditions all the time. I just didn't have time to do as many auditions as I wanted to. And I was part of corporate radio that, had a lot of budget cuts, and we were getting more responsibilities than, when we started. And I hit a point where I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to answer to anybody. I want to be my boss, and I want more creativity in my life. And like I said, I had been dabbling, and I just said, I'm going for it. I'm going for it full time. And wow, best decision ever, because I love it. I love it. How about you?
Similar story. My radio career started off in Magnolia, Arkansas. No kidding. I'm gonna name drop here, because if it were not for him, I don't know if I would have ever taken the chance on radio, but Stephen Bright was a classmate of mine in Magnolia, Arkansas, and he had worked at a radio station. He goes, Kev, I'm getting ready to leave my radio job, and I was a clown in high school. I just, always cut up in this. And he said, I'm leaving it. I think you'd be a great fit. I'll put in a good word for you. And so I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Senior in high school, go work at a local radio station.
Oh, yeah.
Went and talked to the guy. He didn't want to have anything to do with me. Seriously. Didn't want to have a thing to do. So I went down the road to the other radio station, because I was inspired at this point, and talked to Mr. Ken Sibley. And I was like, man, I'll come in here. I'll sweep up. I'll do whatever it takes, And he made a radio tape of me. And I'm like, ooh, wow, this is like a real tryout. I didn't know what an audition was at that point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, I think we can do something. And he hired me. And, I don't know if I'd ever taken this path without Ken Sibley hiring me for the first time. But then I did an 18-year stint. I did Magnolia, Arkansas, Texarkana, Hot Springs, Little Rock for a few years. And then I moved down to Miami. And I did a dime. Prison speak. I did a dime in Miami, and that was my last part of radio, and that was in 2004 I left. Similar to you, I got somebody came up and said, hey, Gator. That was my air name, Gator.
Love that. I love that you were Gator.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a whole story behind that, too. But they said, you want to read a car spot? You do good on the commercials here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we'll pay you extra. Really? Okay. Yeah. So I did it, and they liked it, and the client kept coming around monthly. And then some other people needed some car stuff done, and I kept doing it. And like you, I'm like, the company I worked for wasn't so corporate at the time. But I just got tired, ironically enough, of going to car dealerships on the weekends and spinning the prize wheel and giving out T-shirts.
Serving pizza, yeah.
Yeah, and serving pizza. But I love the people part of it, but I didn't care to have to, you have to go do this. Of course, there's extra cash involved and all that, but still, it does wear on you. You do your yucking it up all week long, and then you got to yuck it up again on the weekends. And there's nothing I love more than being on the air, actually. I just loved being on the air. And,
Well, wait a minute. I got to ask you a question. Okay.
Yeah.
If you started
Are you talking to Gator or Kevin?
I guess it would be little Kevin, little 18-year-old Kevin.
Okay.
Did you sound like this when you were 18? Because you have some pipes. Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Bobby, whatever. No. But the thing was, when I started in radio, I thought there was a sound you had to have. I had the stereotype DJ in my head. And so my early years in radio, there was a lot of that, pushing my voice and trying to do that. And then puberty hit, and now here I am.
Oh, come on.
No.
I mean, you have one of those classic voices. And I've heard your stuff. You're not just an announcer. You can act too and alter your voice. So I just wondered what you sounded like at 18.
Hang on just a second. I'm just getting a little touched up over here. Thank you, Bobby. So the car commercials were really taking over, getting back to the, how I transitioned into the voiceover world. In 2004, I had my fill. I don't think I'd ever get my fill of performing live, because there's just nothing like that, being on the air or live theater or whatever it is. But I didn't like everything that went along with it. And then I was seeing, wow, I think I can make a living making commercials. I'm doing it on the side, and I was producing a lot too. So I was not only voicing, but I was doing a lot of the producing as well. So I left. I left my radio job, and the people that I worked for in Miami were just so amazing when I left, and they were like, you sure, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's time.
Yeah, when it's time to I always called it my leap of faith, because it's like I knew I loved it, and I knew that I could do it. I didn't know how successful, but it's just like, if I don't do it now, I'm going to say, why didn't I try that full time?
And there's people probably listening right now that, this will echo with them, I'm sure. And for anybody that's thinking about it, you got to think long and hard, and you've got to, you got to do some serious soul searching. And you've got to be ready for it, but then you just got to hustle your butt off.
Oh, yeah. Lots and lots of time auditioning. When you think you've done a lot, do another 10 or 20 a day or a week.
Yeah, that is certainly a numbers game. And getting back to this episode is all about getting to know us. Bobbi, talk about what you do. What is your day-to-day?
Well, I'm not a morning person. That's why I never did morning radio. So, well, I did, but it didn't last long. So, I have to wake up, and my voice also has to wake up. I can't just come down in the studio and record something as soon as I get up, because I'm telling you, I have a really, really deep voice in the morning. I guess it was the right thing. This morning I had to do, there was an audition for, it was kind of an otherworldly female voice of God. And I went, wait a minute, that is one thing you can do in the morning with a really deep voice. So I took advantage of it. But, and in that time, you just come down and you check what auditions have come in the studio. Nice that your studio is in your home, right, Kevin?
Yeah, well, yeah, not anymore for me. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. What else are you working on, regularly?
Well, I work with you with a lot of automotive. And that's another thing that I can't do in the morning. I mean, I have to, and thank goodness your time's a little bit different than mine, so it gives me a little bit of time to get warmed up. But because automotive just, is so energized and so at a different place in your tone. So do those like midday or whatever. I do a lot of casino work, believe it or not. Once again, a lot of things that have to do with the announcer style in radio, but because we never get over that.
Yeah,
and that's another subject down the road. We're going to talk about the trends that are in voiceover, and that's going to be a great episode when we talk about that. I'm just kind of teasing you here. Just auditioning through the day, just everything that there's so much going with it. You're keeping your equipment up. I'm on the Facebook voiceover Facebook pages all the time, finding what's the latest thing. What P2P is on the way out and what's the new one. And it's just, I spend way too much time on the computer is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it really is a full day. Ask my husband. I'm down here from 8:30 till 7:30, 8 o'clock sometimes. And the great thing is it feels like 2 hours. I love it.
Going back to making the transition from radio to voiceover, what is like one thing you would let somebody know?
You have to do the work. You can't expect that a client or a producer or a casting agent is going to come to you. And so many people that get into this business, I think, truly believe that. If you make a demo, they're going to find you. And it's just a lot of marketing and continuing to audition and reaching out and getting on different sites and just making connections, going to the conferences where you can make even more connections. It's a job. It's a full-time job. You can't expect the work to come to you.
Couldn't agree more. 100%.
Do you have anything to add?
No, that's pretty much it. You can't expect for stuff to be handed to you, and you really have to hustle. Whether you're coming from real estate, whether you're coming from radio, whether you're coming from teaching, whatever transition it is another job. And I put this. I posted something on Facebook a month or so ago about you've got to be a business manager, you've got to be an accountant, you've got to be a self-starter, self-motivated, a marketer, an actor, a sound engineer, but just so many things. And you've got to have hustle in you, and you've got to have drive.
Absolutely.
And the rewards can be great, though. You can have a very satisfying career, and you can have a lot of fun doing it.
And we do. And that's why we want to share all of this.
Yeah, so here we are. So did we learn anything today? I don't know. And Bobbi, that's my philosophy on this whole thing is I don't know, people will probably take stuff from each episode, hopefully. But, a lot of it is just going to be sharing stories and talking about the business that we're in. So next week, we will get more in depth, and we're going to talk about some specific issues, like some things you're going to be hearing about from us are the pay-to-play sites. We're going to talk about those, auditioning, rates, how to negotiate, putting your work on social media. Is it taboo? Is it not? Marketing, because we all have our own stories to add. Technical talk, technical travel talk, coaching, agent talk, genres. What's the difference between a voice actor and a voice talent and a voiceover guy? We're going to talk about all that stuff in the coming episodes, and we are going to have a lot of guests as well.
Oh, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, we've got so many people lined up that are generously going to give us their time, and so we can share a lot. And next week's episode, we're going to go more in depth, and we're going to have a great time, and we hope you will join us again next week for the Middle Class VO podcast.
Do we get to hear her sing again?
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast.